so dramatically. I mean, not dramatically, but national polling average started off not so great. July, boom, 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 boom. Made a flip, major flip on around August 4th. And it is now seemingly going to start its. Like I said, I think it's partially him trying to tilt the scales and partially him just, you know.
Now, more on this.
Anyway, let's get to the DNC boys, girls, MBs, 2024 DNC, Obama, Biden, Clintons. Why? Why is the Democratic Party doing this? Why? Bro, bring Jesse Ventura up there. Bring Megan Thee Stallion up there to work. What the Republicans cannot have a more fun convention than the Democrats. The Democrats literally own Hollywood, bro. What the you got Clinton? You got the Clintons. Not just Hillary, but Bill too. It's like we want both of Jeffrey Epstein's friends on there. Not just one, but both of them. Dude.
State of the race. NBC senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson's here. Hallie, good morning. So they finished off the Battleground Tour, the first rollout of Harris Walls. Give us the state of the race on the Democratic side, then we'll talk about former President Trump's campaign.
Sure. On the Democratic side, Savannah, the Harris Walls team is feeling like they have some wind at their back, some momentum here moving forward for a couple of reasons here. It's that new battleground polling that we talked about here, showing that she is inching ahead within the margin of error in some of these key swing states. And when you look at independents, those numbers are interesting, too. There's some good news in there for Democrats showing that Vice President.
Bro, swing state polls are cooking right now, dude. Oh, my God. Loyal blue vanguard up in this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Wisconsin, 50% Harris, 46 Trump. Michigan, 50% Harris, 46% Trump. Pennsylvania, 50% Harris, 46% Trump. I got more polls, okay? We got more swing state polls. The only thing that shows Trump not underwater is Trafalgar and Rasmussen, bro. They are so goddamn cooked. You might as well just make the numbers up at that point, okay? It's so bad. Trafalgar and Rasmussen are obviously like incredibly cucked right-wing bias polls. They are consistently wrong. No, not Trafalgar Law, you nerds. Shut up. Even the Trafalgar poll was terrible for Trump. I mean, Trafalgar is also like right boosted. But yeah, Wisconsin showing Harris up 9 points on the Bullfish Group independent swing states poll. 9 points. Michigan showing Harris up +5, 48 to 43. Obviously, that is not great, in my opinion, for Harris. That should be, I mean, that's outside of the margin of error, but like it should be higher than that for Michigan. But I do think that maybe Gaza is playing a role in that, and it might get worse for her in Michigan. Things might change. Overall, Pennsylvania, 49% for Harris, +4. Trump at 45. So this, once again, shows momentum swinging in the direction of the Harris Walz ticket. Okay. You also have approval ratings. Coming out of all the states that Walz and Harris have actually attended. And Tim Walz is cooking. Okay. Tim Walz is cooking. All right. Here's how the dynamic has shifted so dramatically. I mean, not dramatically, but national polling average started off not so great. July, boom, 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 boom. Made a flip, major flip on around August 4th. And it is now seemingly going to start trailing. Okay. It will inevitably reach a plateau unless they keep up the momentum. But you also have the with Kennedy numbers, which is phenomenal. There it is. Kennedy taking more of the Trump support than the Harris support as well. Okay. Yo, there is a non-zero population that would let Trump babysit their child. Yes. This is the sign of an unbiased pollster, by the way. Kamala Harris has opened up a 6% lead over Trump. LOL from Rasmussen. I mean, yeah. It's a shame Walz is too old to ever run for presidency after Kamala. I mean, who knows? But anyway, whatever. Dude, these polls, we all know it's fake. Yeah, yesterday I spent a lot of... Wait, what? At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And some of you like to steal that glory from me. Some of you like to steal the one time of the day, once every hour, where I like to have fun and dupe you and just take that away from me shamelessly and selfishly. and then serve the 3-minute ad break in my stead. I recognize when I have been bested. This is a moment where I have been bested. AI must be stopped. I think that it's time. We've officially gone too far. This is obviously AI footage. I was not at the Kamala Harris Michigan rally with a top of the hour ad break poster. Anyway, that's a good one. I'll give it to you. Lilith of the South, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Aiden Kami, thank you for the 5 gifted. Gore, thank you for the 10 gifted. Data Pixel, thank you for the 5 gifted. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. New Trump vid / tweet. Bro, he is posting, dude. He's back. He's back. He's back, but unfortunately not as good as he used to be. Waltz is going to address a union. Waltz will address union members in first solo campaign stop. Oh my God, my goat. He's going solo dolo. My king. It really is 2016. Yeah, the problem is role reversal occurred. What's your take on the Armenian? I wonder where this guy's coming from. I wonder why he's asking me this. Here, there's a command for it in the chat. Okay. ! Armenian genocide. Bibi's office just called Gallant anti-Israel after Gallant said total victory is bollocks. Bro, the drama in the Knesset right now is crazy. Yeah. Do you think a Tom Bradley scenario can happen? What? I only think of this when I realize that Kamala is black and a woman. What? This is my favorite Trafalgar poll ever. Murray won this race by over 15 points. This is who they are relying on for copium at the moment. If chatters don't know who these people are. Yeah. Trafalgar in 2020 was so off base, dude. This is part of the reason why Real Clear Politics, I say, like, there's poll aggregators out there. You got 538, you got Real Clear Politics, you got a bunch of them, right? RCP, unfortunately for people who love RCP, I think weighs Trafalgar and Rasmussen differently than some of these other pollsters, other poll aggregators. So that's the reason why they're almost always incredibly right-wing boosted. This was the Trafalgar Washington Senate poll showing incumbent Murray still holding a small lead, but the challenger Smiley gaining. Okay, 48.7% for the Murray campaign, 46.5% for Smiley, Tiffany Smiley. Murray ended up winning this race by 15 points. So overall, you know, you got to take a lot of what they put out there with a grain of salt. Also, this is an insane thing that I've seen as well. Do you lean closer towards the Republican or Democratic position on abortion? Plus 19 for the Democrats. Environment, plus 17 for the Democrats. These are obvious gimmies, right? That number should even be higher. Who the is like, I don't know, maybe the Republicans have it right on abortion. Healthcare, plus 16 for the Democrats. Election integrity, plus 13 for the Democrats. Economy, plus 8 for the Democrats. Inflation, plus 4 for the Democrats. I do not know what is happening. I do not understand what is happening. I don't even get why people have completely removed Kamala Harris from the equation. This is not the only poll I've seen, by the way, that shows that the Democrats are leading on the economy. Okay. I think it's because they are leaning into populist, progressive policy positions. Okay. Immigration R2 also seems kind of surreal. I don't know how valid this poll is. I really don't know, but I have seen a bunch of other polls where Democrats are like either close or leading on the issue of the economy, which is crazy. Seems that Americans are single issue voters and the issue is the candidate being alive. I mean, that was a major role. Yes, that played a major role. But I told you time and time again, it's not like the Democratic Party's platform is unpopular. Okay. They can make this unpopular. They can, if they run away from popular prescriptions to problems that people foresee in their day-to-day lives. But as I told you, the platform is good, is solid. Lean into it. Stop running away and being like, I'm not a radical. No, you don't understand. I want to do like the most complicated tax equation in an effort to make sure that you can you can get like maybe tax credits. This is also the type of that actually is phenomenally popular. I've also talked about this stuff too. The White House has proposed a new law requiring the subscription services like gym memberships can be canceled with a single click. This is genuinely really good quality of life policies, okay? That kind of works, bro. If the Dems ran on like eliminating spam mail, like if they added that into their if they added that into their platform, like that's the type of stuff that actually plays really well, okay? Like this is the type of I'm gonna be honest with you, the FCC pushing the click to cancel rule for phone, internet, and cable companies, that I'm not even joking. That is like +1 in a key state, okay? You end up improving your chances so dramatically. You know what I mean? That's one extra point in a place like Michigan. That's a gimme. One of the major issues here, of course, is how they communicate it, okay? How they communicate this progressive platform. If they run away from this, if they don't actually publicize this kind of stuff, I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna mean anything. It will be meaningless. This is a bad policy. Yeah. Oh, shut up. You're trying to serve a 3-minute ad break or something. That's why you're saying this is a bad policy. We already ran the ad break. Did you see EU is telling Elon Musk to censor Trump? I have not seen that, but honest question, wouldn't some corporate donors be against this? The corporate donors, bro, what are we talking about? You got an election to win, okay? Corporate donors can only take you so far. Corpos, I think that there are a lot of corporations, a lot of corporate donors that are completely vested in Donald Trump, especially Silicon Valley, okay? They're deep in the Trump pocket right now. They think J.D. Vance is a great choice. But obviously they are at odds with like real humans that go out and vote. Now, they can only move the needle so far, right? They can only move the needle so far. All the money in the world is not going to work if you have genuine momentum. Donald Trump proved that in 2016. Hillary Clinton got a ton of money. Hillary Clinton had the backing of liberal media. And everybody was constantly ripping into Donald Trump, but he was a significantly more dynamic, more charismatic anti-establishment pick for a lot of people who was able to make it seem like he was a more moderate person than the average Democrat on a lot of issues that were popular with the base. That's how he won. Also because Hillary Clinton at campaigning and thought that she wouldn't need to campaign in key states. But overall, that's what happened in 2016, where Donald Trump kind of had the juice. He had the momentum. He could overcome the massive amount of spending against him. On the other hand, Democrats now have that momentum. Democrats have that momentum, and they should not cast it aside. You want to see real panic from the Republicans? Looks like they're being forced to dump 100 million ad bombs originally planned for late September to stop the Trump bleeding. That's what I'm saying. MAGA Inc., the pro-Trump super PAC, is plowing 100 million into ads that will air before Labor Day. The ads will air in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. The ads is messaging that Kamala Harris is soft on crime radical who's too dangerous for the White House. In a memo obtained by Politico Alex, the super PAC strategists say Americans might vote for a liberal, but they won't vote for a lunatic. And that's hilarious because Kamala Harris is a fucking prosecutor and Trump is a convict. So like, even if they thought that this was going to be an issue that they can move people on, it still doesn't work. It literally didn't work in 2022. They are trying a tactic that failed in 2022. What are you doing? It's even harder to make this narrative stick because crime is literally down. Okay? Most Americans say that their cities are safe. It's other cities that they're worried about in terms of crime. And everyone in the media recognizes that crime is down across the board. Homicides are down as well, which was the only thing that was up regardless in the post-COVID bump. Everything else was still going down. And they have no way to make this narrative stick. They couldn't make it stick in 2022. Okay? If they couldn't make this stick in 2022, how the fuck are they going to make this stick in 2024 when everybody recognizes that crime is down? Especially when you are a convict running against a prosecutor. They just keep lying about it till it sticks. No, you have to understand, like, this kind of is great for Twitter. It's great for the MAGA cultists, but those guys are already voting right now. Because Donald Trump is completely maxed out on name recognition, You have to somehow magically bring people back to your side. He already lost an election. He lost an election to an objectively weaker candidate, Joe Biden, in 2020. Do you understand? He lost an election already to Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a carcass, far from like just a generic Democrat. He got shot and it didn't move the needle. You cannot, especially if you're Donald Trump, you can't just like keep trying to pump out the same old narratives that have literally failed in the midterms when it should have been a massive lock for you. GOP should have been running the table in the 2022 midterms. Literally, real negative wage growth, okay? Negative wage growth in the midst of an inflation crisis, in the midst of people actually feeling the heat. They still could not defeat Democrats in key states, in key districts. It's crazy. Why? Because they hyper-focused on culture wars. And they're doing that again. And it's in terms of culture wars, there's one issue that is not, that isn't just culture war, but there's one issue where their legislative agenda actually went through after this 35, 40-year project on abortion. Abortion restrictions. That came down. People saw what it's like. People know what it's like when the Republicans get their wishes across in terms of some of these culture war issues. It's done. It's done after that. You're hemorrhaging your base of support. People hate you. People do not think you're good. People do not think you're competent. People don't want to pay attention to politics. And worst of all, Democrats did one thing that they normally always do. Democrats did something that they never have done before. They demonstrated basic, bare minimum competence. They did that. They were like, oh, our guy is dead. He's rotting. We can't carry him across the finish line. We should swap him out. Then they followed through and went with a candidate that was a vice presidential pick that would lock them in for a radical, supposedly radical, progressive policy platform. So unless Kamala comes out today or tomorrow, I think her campaign policies are going to, like, the agenda is going to come out soon. Unless she comes out and is just like the most dog-like centrist, soft pedal, baby, hyper-focused tested nonsense. Okay. Unless she does that, which would be a full reversal of like the Tim Walz decision, which I don't think they will do, and I hope they won't do that, okay? Unless she does some like that, they can keep carrying this momentum forward. I think overall, the other side of this equation is that while Trump has certain key sectors on lock, like tech, maybe some defense contractors, ultra Zionist, whatever. Democrats have their own version of this as well, obviously, in terms of big donors. A lot of other industry leaders are also still worried about the instability in terms of like big ticket donors, like big money donors. A lot of industry leaders are also worried about what a second Trump term looks like in terms of the instability and the volatility. If you're just hyper focused on short-term benefits, maybe you're looking at it and going, the deregulation and the extra tax cuts will be good. But a lot of other key sector leaders probably look at this and go, Democrats are going to give us that too. And I'd rather have like maybe some regulation and stability, deregulation and complete instability that will defeat long-term benefits, long-term profits, that will destroy long-term profits because it will probably cripple America's standing. It will probably cripple the global economy. So like ultimately, those guys are making lesser evil choices from their own perspective. And I think that that is the reason why the Democratic Party has more leeway to operate within this progressive space, to captivate a progressive audience, to show Americans that like, yeah, no, they can actually own these supposedly radical policies. Can you steel man a positive thing for a Trump second term? From whose perspective? Positive from like the average person's perspective, or positive from like industry? Because both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are always going to be beholden to their corporate donors. Okay. Like they will always be beholden to their corporate donors. They will always like move the needle marginally in one direction. But even if they take even if they get like one step, if the Democrats take like one tiny step in the direction of like populist economic agenda items that will be truly beneficial for the American population, they'll still take like 3 steps in the direction of corporate donors. Republicans, on the other hand, will take, 10 steps in the direction of corporate donors, and openly. Is he drinking piss? Yeah, dude. Arizona green tea, brother. Holy yeah. This is, by the way, one big thing. America's crime reset. Omaha, 30% decrease. Miami, 20% decline. Philadelphia, a big fall in homicides with a 42% decrease. Which, by the way, that happened under the progressive reign of a supposed George Soros DA, by the way. What happened? I thought George Soros DAs were literally releasing convicts left and right. Every single was talking about this, including my goddamn uncle. What happened? Are they not releasing the criminals any longer? What happened? What the happened? It's crazy to me. No, not Sam Cedar, my biological uncle, Jank. What's responsible for the crime reset? There is no real legitimate increase of crime. That was all media narratives concocted. There is no real reset. Crime was always down. There was a big bump in the immediate aftermath of COVID on homicides. That's it. Everything else, that's a massive earthquake. Yo, it's still going. Yo, Kaya, you are not even remotely interested. Come here. Come here. That was crazy. That was a big one, boys. That was crazy. There have been a lot of earthquakes that have happened. Hello. Get up. Up. Good girl. There have been a lot of earthquakes that have happened, but that was definitely a big boy. That was a big, or at least like the epicenter must have been close. Wait, it's only 5.2 in Bakersfield. I felt that last time it happened, or 4.7 in Bakersfield. Oh, it's south of Pasadena. Holy moly, that's just close. That's why I felt it. It was right in LA. East Coast here. This is an indication of the big one's coming soon. That was the first time. That was the first time in a while where I was like, damn, that's a big one. Kaya, place. Good girl. Did you get alerts on your phone? No. I'm in West LA, felt it, but it looks like it hit you harder. Yeah, no, it was crazy. I heard it. I think one of the scariest parts of the earthquake is that obviously starts shaking. That's it. But it's the noise. There is this like very weird noise that you hear that I find particularly scary. Like there's this presence. It's like there's like this nefarious, scary, ominous rumble. You go like, I don't know if you can hear it from my mic, but it's actually like I think one of the scarier parts of it. Everything else, that's a massive earthquake. Yo, it's still going. Yo, Kaya, you are not even remotely interested. Come here. Massive Lamau. The wall shaking and the air moving in that frequency when the doors and windows are rattling. Yeah. The instinct to go full cam, you clip farmer. Sorry, guys. I just sat down. I love that you checked the Zin Tower. What? I didn't check the Zin Tower. Earthquake! Yo, it's still going. Oh, I did. Oops. Yo, Kaya, you are not even remotely interested. Come here. That was crazy. 4.6 is actually not that big, but I think it's because I was very close to the epicenter this time that I felt it that much. I remember when that earthquake hit on the East Coast a couple months back, I was in bed and that felt good on my back. 4.6 is actually huge. Thank you very much. Nah, not for California. We get that on a daily basis. There was another one in Bakersfield that was 5.2. I didn't even feel that. I think that's the reason. Yeah, it's because it was like close to us. Keizo attacking you for not for telling everyone that he's not a real big boy. Yeah. 4.6 is massive. Wait, no. For California, 4.6 is not that big. Like, it happens. Dude, last week there was a 5.2 in Bakersfield like a couple days ago. Oh, you guys are making penis jokes. Oh, I thought y'all, man, y'all are so dumb. Anyway, let's continue with what I was talking about. God damn it. Let's continue.
President Harris is doing better than President Biden with independents in some of those critical swing states. You've also got the money factor. The Harris camp has raked in tens of millions of dollars in a relatively short period of time. And then look ahead at what's happening a week from today. The Democratic National Convention begins in Chicago, and that is a week of primetime coverage for the Democrats. We're learning more about who some of the headliners will be. Two sources familiar with the planning tell us that former President Obama will speak, along with former President Bill Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and President Biden will be one of the headliners as well, in what seems like a nod to his leadership after he withdrew from the 2024 race. In a new interview just recently, Savannah, his first since he decided to step off the 2024 ticket, he says he did so partly so as not to be a distraction for Dems.
Let's talk about the Trump campaign still adjusting, it seems, to this new race and this new candidate they're facing at the top of the ticket.
Yeah, there's a sense from senior advisors that this is a so-called Harris honeymoon that may not last all that long. They see the fundamentals of the race as still being fairly consistent here, and that is a real focus on two big issues, the issues that we've been talking about for months now that voters care about, the economy and immigration. On both of those issues, battleground polls show that former President Trump actually polls better than Vice President Harris on that. So there is a desire, I think, from those I've talked to in the Trump orbit for the former president to focus on that, to focus on policy. What we've seen from him, though, over the course of the last week, several weeks, if not longer, has been a focus on nearly anything but. He's been litigating this issue of crowd sizes, making false claims on that front, suggesting that President Biden may try to, with no evidence, reclaim the nomination at the DNC. There's nothing that would support that happening here. Of course, Vice President Harris is looking to combat on both of those issues, going on offense on both the economy and immigration. Savannah.
All right, Hallie, much to discuss. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz completed their first swing through battleground states, as new poll numbers show them pulling ahead in some of those key states, drawing false attacks.
Dude, the Beyonce release was so clutch. Like I can't, it's just, it goes way too hard. The Freedom song, it really does. Like Kamala Harris kind of low-key doesn't deserve that level of hype. You know what I mean?
From Donald Trump about the crowd size at their rallies. Rachel Scott is tracking the race from Washington. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, George, good morning to you. This is an entirely different campaign. 1 week out from the Democratic National Convention, and a new poll shows that Vice President Kamala Harris is gaining traction in those critical battleground states. All of that really not sitting well with former President Donald Trump, who has resorted to pushing conspiracy theories about the crowd size at her rallies and questioning her racial identity.
This morning, Vice President Kamala Harris gaining momentum in the race for the White House.
Another thing that I did not like, and I brought this up already, was like Kamala Harris doing the like classic Dem thing, I guess, but in a new format where she looked at like something that Trump had suggested that is like a pro-corporate policy and not a pro-worker policy that masquerades as a pro-worker policy, no tax on tips. And I think that ProPublica senior editor Jesse Eisinger is absolutely right on this, where he says no tax on tips policy is an ominous sign. Pandering matches half-baked, bald Trump pander. Regressive. Most tip workers don't pay income tax and get EITC. Unfair. Why should a bus driver pay taxes but not a waiter? Relieves pressure on corporations to raise wages. That is a key part of this that I have an issue with. Reasons is ominous. Suggests Harris doesn't have a serious economic policy circle that can respond to idiotic Trump blather. Suggests she doesn't have good enough political instincts / communication skills to explain why doing the thing that sounds good isn't actually good. I am a little fearful that she just blurted that out. I'll be honest. But it played in Nevada. Brother, what are you talking about? She's in front of the Culinary Union. You know the Culinary Union already has a policy in place that they are advocating for. It's called abolishing sub-minimum wage. That's it. You don't have one guy on your team in your immediate orbit that could have communicated that to you? The union workers there already have a policy that they are advocating for. It is the abolition of sub-minimum wage. Americans on the consumer front hate tipping culture, right? And there's a nefarious reason as to why tipping culture is bad for the workers as well. And a lot of people, I think, don't realize that it is a very effective, I would say, cowardly way to make it seem like you are trying to make it seem as though you are trying to appear pro-worker while simultaneously not appearing pro-worker at all, or being pro-corporate. The biggest problem for service workers right now is the reality that they have to rely on the gratuitous nature of the customer in order to fucking survive. And the way in which the tipping structure is designed in the United States of America allows corporations, allows restaurants to offer what is known as sub minimum wage, because the tips make up for it, right? As in, you get paid sub minimum wage at like $2.35 an hour, and then the rest of it is being made up with tips anyway. So your bosses, the restaurant, doesn't have to give you like an honest, livable wage. They don't have to offer you an honest, livable wage. It's crazy. Many tip workers like tips because they can get like $500 a night. Not all, but many. No, I understand that. I do. I get it. I know why it comes across as a popular policy. I know. Here's the statement by the Culinary Union Secretary Treasurer Ted Papa George regarding elimination of the sub-minimum wage and taxes on tips. The Culinary Union calls Nevada elected officials to support the federal ban on sub-minimum wages and taxes on tips. Nevada stands as a model where workers receive a fair minimum wage without relying on customer tips to cover wages. Currently, 34 states maintain minimum wages above the federal standard of $7.25, but tipped employees in many states can still earn as little as $2.13 per hour. According to BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 1.1 million workers in the United States can earn below the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. In Massachusetts, the tip minimum wage is $6.75 an hour, while the state minimum wage is $15 an hour. A lot of you who have not worked on this, worked in the service sector, I think, are kind of oblivious to how unimaginably cruel the sub minimum wage structure works. But it is, regardless of what people think in the short term, I think it's a very nefarious policy to design. The no tax on tips aspect of it is very nefarious policy making, in the sense that like it basically moves the blame away from those who are most responsible for people suffering, like most responsible for their workers not getting the honest wages that they deserve, livable wages that they deserve unconditionally. And changing the dynamic by basically beefing up tipping culture, which consumers across the board hate as well. But a lot of people don't think about that immediately, or they don't think about like, oh, well, they have taken off taxes on tips. Like most people don't think about it in the short term. They don't think about what kind of most people don't think about what kind of incentives you are creating here, and what that might look like down the line. Okay. No tax on tips proposal is a bad idea on the merits, but I don't mind pandering to win the election. Please don't pass the Senate Dems, but this is an opportunity to pander with good policy. Take it. Rumors on economic Twitter is Harris' policy will include raising all forms of minimum wage, including the sub wage. Several hope she does exactly what the Culinary Union wants from it, like she did for the taxes on tips. Yeah. Prices will go up. Suggested tips will go down. It will get votes, but crap policy. Servers already don't claim our tips anyway, so what does this change? Can you elaborate? Can you please give us examples for us restaurant workers? I think what is beneficial for restaurant workers across the board isn't necessarily to cut taxes on tips, but instead to move to a model that makes it so that restaurants have to give you an actual fucking wage rather than having you rely on the magnanimous, gracious nature of the customer. Then you have the present brain on the other side. It's hugely expensive and economically distortionary, so much that I highly doubt it will ever become law, which also makes this promise less likely. No, I don't think this is present brain. I'll be honest with you. I think this is one of the only instances where Globe Twitter is right. One of the things that Americans are so fucking warped on is like taxes for middle income Americans. Taxes for middle income Americans basically fund the entire government because there's so many fucking people in that bracket. It's basically the entire nation that's in that bracket. So no, I am not anti-taxing the middle class. And obviously you can't say that in America if you're running. You certainly try to avoid talking about that at every point, but they're not wrong. It is actually, when he says it's hugely expensive and economically distortionary, what this person is saying is not entirely incorrect. What this person is talking about is funding the government. Like you're adding on, you're basically taking away like a massive chunk of taxable revenue from the government coffers. And I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing. I think that the way that the middle class is currently taxed is decent enough. But you know, the way that we spend is completely out of whack. People should be able to get more social safety nets for the taxes that they're paying currently. And then there are obviously plenty of areas where people are not taxed at all, especially if or not taxed appropriately, especially if your entire net worth is in the stock market or on assets that are taxed at a lesser percentage than the regular straight income tax brackets work. And most of the super wealthy operate on that boundary. That's why we have people like you. You can afford to tip 100% each time. I know, but nobody does that shit. And you cannot rely on, like, I've always been the type of person who says, like, you're never going to extract concessions by being nice. Okay. You can't just expect people to be nice to you. You have to forcibly change the rules and the laws. Okay. It is a foolhardy endeavor to rely on the magnanimous nature of the wealthy. If they were magnanimous to begin with, we wouldn't have such severe income inequality. We would not have billionaires. Okay. They clearly are not. I don't think it's like appropriate to design an economy on having the entirety of the service sector be over reliant on people being gracious and basically seeing the working poor at the whims of their mercy and maxing out, like basically creating a GoFundMe like structure for every interaction in the service economy is insane to me. And that is basically what we're doing with moves like this. Like, give people consistent, honest income that they deserve, a livable wage. You are talking like the pubs have empathy, Lamau. No, I'm saying that nobody has empathy. Everyone is very selfish, which is why you have to design a structure that leads to more egalitarian outcomes, because no one is going to fucking do that. Also, the Culinary Union saying that they want no taxes on tips is one thing. The Culinary Union leadership and many union leadership can oftentimes push for policy that is not inherently good, that is not ultimately a good policy. Okay? This is something that you learn with, throughout your time dealing with unions in general. If you remember, sometimes there's also a mismatch in what a union communicates and what the desires of the rank and file are. Culinary Union is a great example of this. But this is one of those issues where the rank and file probably also, in short-term thinking, assume that this is a good idea. Technically not a good idea. It's one of those things that it is populist to say no taxes on tips. Okay? But if you're looking at it with the lens of, being an adult about it, it's not necessarily a solid idea at all. If you're gonna use the populist aspect of this, you have to also, at the very least, tie it to an increase in sub-minimum wage. Does that make sense? So do nothing. Did I ever say so do nothing? I actually told you what to do instead. Why don't they go further and ban or increase sub-minimum wage? No, that's what I'm saying. They should keep that. If they, let's say, want to keep that fucking sub-minimum wage part of the equation afloat, they tack it on with like this populist policy. Are you arguing that relying on tips to support the service sector is unsustainable and unfair, effectively turning every transaction into a form of charity? Yes, that is precisely what I said. That's literally what I said. Wouldn't it be more to ensure workers receive a stable, livable wage instead of depending on the generosity of others? Yes, you understood exactly what I was saying. Are you suggesting that the tax burden on middle-income Americans is disproportionately high and that their contributions are essentially funding the entire nation? That is also what I said. Holy shit, this guy's awesome. Thank you for summarizing my points. The reason why sub-minimum wage is devastating is because there's plenty of people who are also fucking broke. And when they're fucking broke, they also are you know, for a multitude of different reasons, refusing to fucking pay tips. Okay. So then the person in front of you is suffering as a consequence of that. They just served you for like an hour and they got nothing in return. And now they made $2 in that process. Like, that's insane. Relying on customers to keep the business afloat, to keep the lives of these servers sustainable is craziness. And I think there's also a pretty solid counter to it, which is that everybody, including servers themselves, when they are customers, don't like fucking the 25%. Don't like seeing 25% at the checkout line. You know what I mean? People are like, what the fuck? Oh. Anyway, let's continue.
Wrapping up her first major campaign blitz with her new running mate, Governor Tim Walz.
You are battle-born. And if Donald Trump wants to pick a fight over our most fundamental freedoms, we say, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on.
A New York Times Siena poll shows Harris has a 4-point edge on Donald Trump in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, within the margin of error. And enthusiasm for the Democratic ticket has skyrocketed since President Biden dropped out of the race. Walz addressing a crowd of 15,000 in Phoenix, making this dig at Trump.
But Arizona just couldn't leave it alone, could you? It's not as if anybody cares about crowd sizes or anything. So.
Trump has long boasted about the size of his rallies, just days ago claiming nobody has spoken to crowds bigger than me. And now the former president pushing conspiracy theories on social media that Harris used artificial intelligence or AI to create images of fake crowds, falsely claiming there was nobody there. David Plouffe, a senior advisor for the Harris.
This part is so funny. I think this is a major fucking L for the Trump camp. Like, this is a risk, okay? You are assuming a risk. And the risk is, are there enough people in the margins, not in your base, but in the margins, that will actually get brain diseased by this kind of rhetoric and believe it, okay? Every step that the Trump administration takes going forward is supposed to be moving the needle in the opposite direction. They've already maxed out on name recognition. Most people have already decided. They've made up their minds about Trump. They had also made up their minds about Biden as well. But now with the Kamala Harris Walz ticket, that's an entirely different ticket. So they stand to gain a lot from people in the margins. Trump, on the other hand, is completely maxed out. He already was the fucking president. He was a telegenic figure. On top of that, people already have these opinions. They've already calcified their positions, right? So every step they take, they are gambling. Okay, every step they take, they're like, will this move the needle with moderates that are Republican leaning? Will we be able to bring these moderates back to our side? Now, before you say they are believing that it's AI, you are wrong. The people that look at that crowd and go, oh, that's AI, are already Trump supporters. I'm sorry, man. You're out of your fucking mind. Okay, you're not thinking about like old people that are not spending all their goddamn time on Twitter. You're spending all your goddamn time on Twitter. You're spending all your goddamn time on Twitch. So you think a lot of the Republican Party's base of support, or those in the margins, like the more moderate, the more independent voters and whatnot, are also spending every waking moment on Twitter. Okay? The average American with a fucking job or a business that they own is not as brain broken as like Joey Manorino or whatever. They're not as brain broken as the End Wokeness account. Okay. They're going to look at this and go, what the fuck is this guy saying? Okay. And a lot of you probably have relatives that are perma online too. So you think like, oh no, every person is like this. My blue collar Republican boss doesn't think Trump will win because he's too controversial. That one incident may not move the needle, but isn't there a collective impact on the constant barrage of misinformation? Yes, but a lot of people still pay attention to the news, okay? As it stands currently, especially in the demographics that actually go out and vote, you have the entirety of the Republican constituency locked in on Fox News. They're doing the brain broken shit on Fox News. But you have the rest of the country that also looks at a variety of different news outlets, from local news all the way to ABC, NBC, CNN, and the like, NPR, New York Times. And those people see this shit and they go, what the fuck is Trump doing? Do you understand? It's also one of those things that is like immediately disproven with your fucking own two eyes. It's one of the worst things that you can lie about, okay? One of the worst things that you can lie about is something that you can disprove. If you were to run around and be like, Trump is super sexy, actually, right? If you were to run around and be like, you don't understand, I love Donald Trump because he's hot. I love Donald Trump because he's an incredibly fit man. He's incredibly physically fit. He's very dynamic. Like, if you say that, people can just look at that and go, what the fuck are you saying? Guys, stop memeing for a second, okay? Please stop memeing, please. I know I like to say Trump is hot, but like, ultimately you have to remember, like, things that are immediately disprovable will not work well with a group of people that you are trying to bring to your side that aren't already completely locked in, okay? It will look like the conversation that I had yesterday with that one hater from Ohio, the dude who was like, I'm double your size, pussy. You are a pussy, you're soy, you're weak. I could fucking beat your ass if I wanted to. And then we fucking pulled up his photo and it demonstrably was not the case. It was like hilarious that he was even like presenting this as an argument. Okay. Some of you guys might have missed that part, but he was just like falling apart and still running on this delusion. Anyway.
Harris campaign writing, these are not conspiratorial rantings from the deepest recesses of the internet, adding the author could have nuclear codes and be responsible for decisions that will affect us all for decades. Trump has been struggling to pivot to a new Democratic ticket, doing everything from questioning Harris's racial identity to mocking her intelligence and lashing out at new polling.
Kamala is grossly incompetent and, in my opinion, has a very low IQ.
He's now taking her on her pledge to make tips tax-free, something he has promised for months, calling it a Trump idea. The former president also putting immigration at the center of his campaign, vowing the largest deportation effort in American history. Our John Carl pressing his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, for specifics.
I think it's interesting that people focus on, well, how do you deport 18 million people? Let's start with 1 million. That's where Kamala Harris has failed, and then we can go from there.
This also is a way, finally, the media is actually like offering a little bit of contest to this argument and not letting shit slide on this front, which is crazy. Where the fuck was the media for the past like 8 months? It's like, where the fuck were you guys? Like, what? I can't believe that finally the media is asking this question. I have been saying this for literally months. Someone should ask a fucking Republican what mass deportations looks like. They should get them on the record being like, I'm fine with a couple million people getting forcibly deported from their fucking homes. Okay? You just, it's shocking to me that now they're saying, only now, they're fucking finally being held to account for this goddamn position. It has gone on for far too long. The fact that people have not been asking this question for months at this point, and it's gone untested, uncountered as a narrative, that is the reason why it has led to 60+% support. Okay, mass deportation. It's fucking ridiculous. J.D. Vance did say that, though, in the interview you covered. These people are gross. Yes, these people are gross. And let me tell you, many people in the fucking MAGA cult are definitely on board with this. But you have to remember, those aren't the only people in this country, okay? We're talking about like 30% of the... We're talking about the 30% of eligible voter population. There's 70% of the eligible voter population that's not on board with all of these narratives and might actually think that these narratives are fucking insane. These ideas are Hitlerian, because they are Hitlerian. But they'll never come to that conclusion if someone doesn't turn around and go, hold on, did you just say you want to deport 20 million people from this country? How the fuck are you going to do that? How the fuck are you going to do that? Okay. POTUS account calling for a ceasefire again. Yeah, bro, that doesn't mean shit, okay? You have the power. Do it. You can get 30% of Americans to agree on anything. Exactly. Anything. 30% of Americans can agree that there's no top of the hour ad break, okay? At the top of the hour at the HasanAbi broadcast. But there is one. There is. It's crazy how the majority of illegal immigrants pay taxes. Yeah, of course they do. The reason why, however, 30% of Americans are delusional about the fact that there is no top of the hour ad break is because they are subscribed. They're subscribed to the HasanAbi broadcast at the top of the hour, and therefore they don't see it. If you want to be a part of that 30%, all you need to do is subscribe as well for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Rob His Coffee, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Anyway, don't 50% of Republicans support bombing Agrabah? What? Only 8% of Americans believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows, though. Okay, there are some things that are, I guess, too insane for even the 30%. I've said this before. You can get the classic HasanAbi quote is you can get 20 to 30% of Americans to believe anything. You see how pathetic Barack Ravid is? Bro, we said it, we saw it in real time. We saw this in real fucking time. Agrabah is a city in Aladdin. Point is they support bombing in places that doesn't even exist. Yeah. I got it. I got it, chat. I got it. I understood. I understood the meme. Okay, let's continue.
And in another twist this weekend, the Trump campaign claimed that it had been hacked by Iran. It pointed to a report from Microsoft that said that the Iranian hackers sent a phishing email to a top campaign official. Microsoft did not specify which campaign that was, and the Trump campaign has not provided any further details, George.
Yeah, we've seen foreign interference in our elections going back to 2016 at least. Rachel Scott, thanks.